Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. The NDA government informed Parliament that a total of 344 antiquities have been returned to Bharat from other nations since 2014. Union Minister of Culture G. Kishan Reddy said that only one antiquity had been returned to Bharat during the 2004 to 2013 period, and a total of 115 antiquities were returned to Bharat in 2023 itself, and 344 have been returned since 2014. So another comparison as far as what's been achieved in the NDA under Prime Minister Narendra Modi vis-a-vis the UPA under PM Manmohan Singh, and also led by the Congress party. Now, Bharat also meanwhile has made more than 9,300 crore UPI transactions in 2023-24 itself. Government data reveals that a total of 386 such transactions were conducted in foreign nations in 2022. The government said that these developments are a significant step towards global UPI accessibility and showcases the robust growth of UPI transactions both in Bharat and abroad. According to the statistics, the latest ones of the ministry's annual survey of industries, total number of jobs in Bharat's factories has gone up by 7% in 2021-22 to 1.72 crore. This is followed by a 3.2% decline in 2020-21, the year that was hit hardest because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the Uttarakhand Vidhan Sabha has passed perhaps what is a monumental bill. The Uniform Civil Code has been implemented in Uttarakhand. So UCC has been implemented in Uttarakhand, which now has its own UCC. It's become the first state since independence to pass the UCC, setting the template for the rest of Bharat.
उत्तराखंड विधेयक 2024 को पुनर्स्थापित करने हेतु सदन की अनुज्ञा चाहता हूँ।
ये कानून किसी के विरुद्ध नहीं है, बल्कि ये उन माताओं, बहनों, बेटियों के लिए जिनके जीवन में उनको अनेक कष्टों का सामना करना पड़ता था, उनकी सर्वांगीण उन्नति के लिए ये कानून हमने बनाया है।
Scenes outside the Uttarakhand Vidhan Sabha, whole Nagara, warm hugs, a sense of jubilation as Uttarakhand becomes the first state in independent India to have its own uniform civil code.
The Uttarakhand Assembly passing the Uniform Civil Code Bill, becoming the first state in the country to give nod to the landmark legislation post-independence. Goa has UCC, but it's a succession, ladies and gentlemen. It's a continuation of what Goa had during the British Raj, and post its liberation, once it became a formal part of Bharat, that legislation has continued. The bill, which will now become a law once it's cleared by the governor and also has the president's accent, was a key poll promise of the BJP during the 2022 Assembly elections, and the government now claims under Pushkar Singh Dhami, the Chief Minister, that they have delivered on a promise that was made to the people of Uttarakhand. He's also hailed the bill as a historic landmark and said that it aims to promote gender parity and doesn't target any particular religion. Polygamy is prohibited, thus preventing second marriages while the first spouse is alive. Equal inheritance rights for both genders, paving the way for gender parity. A formal declaration of live-in relationships, making it mandatory for that to happen so that there is protection under a legal recourse. Also, that a child, if it is born in a live-in relationship, also giving that child legitimate rights. Prohibition of child marriage and making it a criminal act are some of the key takeaways of this bill. Will Uttarakhand set the template for the rest of Bharat? That's the big question. Let's quickly understand some of the salient features and some of the aspects of this bill. When it comes to polygamy and halala, both stand banned. There is actually a 1 lakh rupee fine or up to a maximum of 3-year imprisonment if halala is committed, or both can happen. And this is under section 4/1, Polygamy, polyandry also have been disallowed. Section 30 of the Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand bans the practice of halala. Neither party can have more than one spouse. The age of marriage has been fixed at 18 for girls and 21 for boys. So if either of them is underage and the marriage happens, then the marriage is considered illegal. But if a child has been born, then that child will be deemed legitimate. That's what the bill says. A wife can seek divorce on grounds of polygamy. That's been allowed. As far as live-ins is concerned, the recognized partners must submit a statement to the registrar. If the partner is a minor, then parents will have to be informed. Registrar will conduct an inquiry into the entire relationship. The registrar can summon the partners and seek more information before giving it assent or cognizance and noting it. Registrar and of course sub-registrars and across Uttarakhand will have to maintain a proper record and diary about this. Based on inquiry, registrar may approve or deny. If the woman gets deserted, then she can claim maintenance. If a child is born out of a live-in relationship, will be deemed a legitimate child. A 10,000 rupee fine or 3 months jail or both for not registering. There is a fine if partners provide false information to the registrar too. And there are similar conditions that have been imposed even in the case of regular marriage. But the bigger aspect is that scheduled tribes and tribes have been under Article 342 of the Constitution, they have been given exemption. But is there a fine print that needs to be read there? And are there some questions around that? Let's try and go across to our guests and ask them to deliberate upon it. Syed Zafar Islam, National Spokesperson of the BJP with us. Shyam Prasad Meka, Congress leader, is also with us. Aap dono ko namaste, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat. Thank you very, very much. Shyam Prasad Meka ji, do you believe this is a landmark moment for Bharat? Because it is part of the directive principles in our constitution. Our founding fathers wanted the states to work towards a uniform civil code. How would you see this development in Uttarakhand?
See, ultimately we need to go there. Okay, there is no question about it. Nobody is objecting to uniform civil code. The only thing is how you go about it, when you go about it, and the method you choose. That's the only question. Okay, fine. See, this is a thing that not each state can do. It should be done at the national level. Okay, yeah, we are building a nation. We are building a nation. Let's be very honest about it. We are with a lot of diversity and we need to build the nation. And that's about it. So, there is no point in forcing it on anybody and making it as if some sort of a victory over somebody. No.
Ji.
See, if you go a kilometer across, the culture is different in this country. That's the greatness of this country, right?
So,
in every kilometer, the culture is different.
Correct.
So let us work on it. And let us try to first inculcate and practice constitutional values and then make a uniform civil code. That's how I would look at it.
So you believe that the way they have gone about is wrong? Why do you believe that? Please complete, Ji.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No. See, why Uttarakhand need to do it? Do the Uttarakhand government think all the Uttarakhand is similar? Okay, go ahead and do it. Do it for the entire India. No issues. But are we ready for it? Are we ready for it? The way the marriage, adoption and all these things happen in my village are different from the way it happens in the next village. So let's not get too overconfident and claim, make long claims that as if we are achieving something. No. Allow people, trust the judgment of the people, allow people time to go through and adopt to the constitutional values.
Right. So
that's all
So you're saying till people automatically adhere to constitutional values, the nation is not ready for a uniform civil code. This method of going through it is wrong. States should not do it. It should be from the center is what you are saying, Shyam Prasad Meka ji. And because you're saying in our country there is a kahavat also, no, kos par badle pani, char kos par bani. That itself means that when language changes, so do culture, customs, etc. So that's the indication there. We'll come back to that in just a bit. Let's listen into what Zafar Islamji has to say. It's just the two of you gentlemen, so we'll have a sane debate here. Yes, Syed Zafar Islam.
Anand, I think it's a historic moment and it is part of our manifesto and we have delivered it to people's expectation. I think every state should follow this because like there is a criminal law which is mandatory for everyone, which is uniform for everyone. Similarly, there should be a civil code as well, which should apply for every citizen of this country. Having said that, there are some constraints which has been addressed in this legislation which has been passed in the Uttarakhand by the Uttarakhand Assembly, and it needs to be celebrated. This is a template for every other states to follow, and I'm sure that every state will follow this template, and they will put together a mechanism that Uniform Civil Code (UCC) becomes a reality. You will always find criticism coming from the opposition, no matter what you do. Here also you will find criticism, but they should also understand that citizen needs this kind of protection because unless there is a law like you have a uniform law in United States, uniform law in UK, uniform law in many other countries, uniform civil code in many countries of the world, and we all go there, live happily without cribbing about it. But when it comes to implementing the same in our own country, the political parties have problem, and I'm sure that they must overcome with this kind of thought process and allow it to happen peacefully. It is for the benefit of the citizen. It will strengthen the relationship between two individuals and in the society, and it is good for the country and good for the state, good for the people. And I'm sure that everybody is welcoming it, barring opposition parties because they have their own constraint. It's more of a political reason rather than the genuine constraint which is being faced by the citizen in every other situation. And I'm sure the women will definitely welcome it. Particularly I'm talking about the Muslim women, they will welcome it, and they will all be very happy that their demand has also been met.
Zafar Islamji, if this is supposed to be rights of all citizens, why are scheduled tribes excluded?
See, why there is a reservation for scheduled caste?
Scheduled tribes. Scheduled
There is
tribes.
a reservation because
Only tribes, not caste.
I'm saying that is what I'm saying. I know, but I'm saying that why there is a reservation for the SC and ST, because they are still not there where the other part of the community is there. So they need some hand holding. There's still time for them to
I take a serious
accept.
Okay, one minute, Mekaji, 1 minute. Let him say and then you please come.
Let Likewise, the ST community needs to be exempted because they're still not there to really appreciate the advantages of this beautiful UCC which has been put in place as a legislation in the Uttarakhand Assembly. So there will be time, not now, but there will be time, like we had several years, and now we are implementing after the independence, 75 years after independence. There will be time that they will also come up with the ladder, and this will get introduced for them as well. But right now, the exception has been made purely because the situation demands that they need to be exempted from this.
Okay, Mekaji, you had a counter, please.
See, one thing is, I take a serious objection. When Jafarul Islam is saying that these communities need hand-holding, really? My friend, do you think so? Honestly, no, these communities doesn't need hand-holding. The hand-holding is needed for the oppressor communities of this country. They need to come out of their mindset that they are some sort of a Brahma written, God sent great guys. Shut up. No, everybody is equal. That's what is the Republic of India is. Now, this patronizing attitude that everybody comes and says, Arey, OBCs, Dalits, Adivasis, you need to come up, we will handhold you. Hey, stop this nonsense. You don't need to. Please. This is an insult that you are throwing at us for centuries. Why Adivasis and the Dalits need hand-holding? Why Jafar Islam thinks so? We don't need that. We need your sick minds to be free of your sickness. That's the point. Instead of that, you try to be patronizing to us.
Right.
Now, come on, those days are gone.
Okay.
Those days are gone.
Okay. You've made a very strong point there, and
Can I just respond?
it's not a personal remark at any particular person. It's just an expression of an emotion there when he's used terminologies like sick mind, oppressor, etc. Zafar Islamji. So please respond objectively to that point, that you do not need to handhold certain people and be patronizing when you exclude them, saying abhi aapko bahar rakhte hain. Yes, please. Especially with matters like UCC. Please respond.
See,
Ji.
no, I won't comment on this sick mind and all, because I think people who are watching him definitely will understand who has the sick mind and who is speaking sense. So I will talk sensibly, and I will only put it across the points which
What
is important
sensibly?
for people to
Meka ji,
understand.
please, let's not
When I
speak
say
over
that-
each other. Please. Ji.
You have the audacity to say
when
you
I
will
said,
handhold us?
Meka ji,
please,
let's not derail the debate, please, gentlemen. You've made your point.
Every-
He's heard it. Now let him respond, and
No.
then you respond further. Please. Yes, Zafar Islam.
when I said, see, the OBC, particularly this, I understand he comes from a political party which is, if he's talking about oppressor, this party has been the oppressor, and they have oppressed the marginalized section of the society. So I understand his mindset and his party's mindset, and I'm sure that he will have a lot of issues around it. But let me tell you very clearly that our party very clearly feels that some section of the society, a section of the society which definitely need to be heard while making any legislation. And this is what happened, because this is what was important, to exempt them, exclude them from this UCC, because they are still not ready. Still not ready to be included in this UCC. And it is based on the feedback from the community, from the several section of the society, from the people who actually understand the dynamics, and based on that, the state government has taken a call that I think it is the right time to do for everyone, except an exception be made for ST.
Let me ask you.
However, as I said,
Zafarji, let me allow me this intervention, please, before we go back to Shyam Prasad Mika. In an scheduled tribe, they are indigenous tribes who are following their indigenous ways. That's why they have been excluded. But if the indigenous tribes, or those who are part of the scheduled tribes, A, convert to another religion, B, stop their indigenous ways and adopt the mainstream, even then the UCC will not be applicable to them. There is nothing that talks about it. So then, do they remain indigenous tribes or not? And if somebody marries into an indigenous tribe family from not an indigenous tribe, then what happens? What applies?
Anand, even for the SC community, if they convert into some other religion, still there is no clarity on that. This is pending in the Supreme Court for ages. That whether they will still be treated as SC, or they will, though, since they have adopted a new religion, he's out of that. He's clearly been seen as no more an SC and will not get the benefit of being an SC. Likewise, here I have yet to go through the entire bill. But what I feel that
don't you think it's a logical objection or a
have
logical aspect that if somebody moves or stops being no longer practicing indigenous ways, that is why indigenous tribes or the indigenous ways of the indigenous tribes, Vanvasi, Janajati, Adivasi, however you would want to call them, with all respects to their ways, if they stop those ways, do they not then become part of the rest of the mainstream group, even in this UCC law? Is that not something which is worth consideration? Secondly, sir, if indigenous tribes continue to follow their indigenous practices, but no longer are Vanvasis, but they are, they live in villages, in semi-urban towns, cities, etc., but continue their indigenous ways, then what happens? And the intermingling of the indigenous tribes with the other mainstream or other communities, has that been considered? Is that not something where there is a gap in terms of perception and understanding? Shyam Prasad Mekaji, you wanted to say something? Ji.
See, very simple. Anand, I have heard you use this word mainstream 3 times. What do you mean mainstream? Who is mainstream? The preamble of the constitution is the mainstream that we all agreed to live as a country.
Correct.
Who is mainstream? Who are these people who claim to be the mainstream? No, I am saying the Dalits and Adivasis are the mainstream of this country. We want to reclaim that position.
No,
Why
please.
you,
No, please.
No, one second.
Shyam Prasad Mekaji, Shyam Prasad Mekaji, I stand. I humbly retract my usage of the term, Shyam Prasad Mekaji, and sincerely will make an endeavor not to do it going forward. But then, sir, why is there a perception or an understanding that you, as a voice, part of a scheduled tribe, if I can understand properly, is an exception and not the rule? Because across the board, most of the scheduled tribes have written to the UCC commissions, even with the 80,000 odd suggestions that have gone to the Uttarakhand government, or the 2.5 lakh or 7 lakh plus, beg your pardon, I don't remember the number, that went to the centre when they were looking at the UCC draft. They have all said keep the scheduled tribes out. Why have they said that, Shyam Prasad Mekaji?
See, look at the Constituent Assembly debates also. There was a time when even the Constituent Assembly was considering complete liquor ban across the country. Even during that time, there is only one member of the Constituent Assembly from, I think, from Jharkhand. He told that, hey, don't get too much swayed by Mahatma Gandhi. This is the culture. We will make that decision. You don't enforce on it, on us. That's how the country is built. That's how the societies need to function.
Correct.
I'm not saying which is right or which is wrong. Okay. See, let us allow people.
Correct. But I understand, Shyam Prasad ji, if voices like you were the larger voice or perhaps more in number within the scheduled tribes, then scheduled tribes would not have been exempted in UCC. The fact that it has happened in Uttarakhand, because in the state of Uttarakhand, most of the scheduled tribe representations have come and said, no, our indigenous customs, don't touch it.
See,
because immediately they'll say, oh, the BJP government is against Adivasis, against Vanvasis, against the indigenous ways, and then there would have been an uproar in the northeast of our country, in the east of our country, in the south of our country. Across Bharat, the Vanvasis are there. They're prevalent across the place.
A very simple thing is, it's not about BJP, Congress or anybody.
Ji.
We as people, we the people, need to understand that there are other people whom we think others are also of this country. That's the simple thing. See, we are saying Vanvasis, we are saying Adivasis, we are not clear what to call them. So we are othering our own people.
But sir, that othering, but Shyam Prasad Mekaji, that othering is not limited only to one particular caste, community or creed. This othering is endemic across the board. And
correct.
even within these caste breakups or community breakups and groupings, there is othering even within that. So subsets, Venn diagrams, etc. you can continue to make. So this is something which is a larger mentality. But shouldn't I also turn out the logic and say for Islam, take what Shyam Prasad Mekaji is saying, that no, there should not be othering. Then the scheduled tribes of Uttarakhand have also othered themselves. They have also said, unke liye banao, humko mat la lo iske andar. That's also another way to look at it, Syed Zafar Aslam. And so, if it is a common code, then it should be common to everybody. Till it can be a common code, then don't bring a common code. That's another argument. Syed Zafar Aslam, final response before we move on. Ji.
I think you have to understand that the part of the society is matured to accept this. The change
It's surrendered.
which will be enacted through UCC. But if a person like Mekaji, if he feels that other people are sick and they do not, should not be given exemption to ST, then they must, from his own community, they must
No,
make this
if
kind of
you
noise and
think you
convince
can
their own
handhold
people.
me,
Because
I think you are sick.
No,
If
no,
you think you
so-
are
so-
hand-holding me, I will
so-
think you
no,
are
But then.
I think
No,
you are
that is one
sick,
big
so
if.
that I
No,
don't want
I
to
will
remind.
think
One
are
minute,
sick.
Shyam Prasad
No,
Mekhaji. One
no,
minute. Let's have some peace here, Shyam Prasad Mekhaji. Then what would you call those people who say we need hand-holding?
Okay, 1 second. I will
What
tell you.
would you call those people
They
who
will
turn
not-
around
they
and
will
tell
not-
the government and say we need hand-holding?
Nobody.
His party
no
will not
argu-
lend their hands.
Arre, wait.
No, his party will not lend any hands
no
to support
Adivasi
them.
or Dalit.
So you are making this noise. You will not make this noise.
Minds to be
From a point of view.
You are not representing the community.
Correct.
You are
Oh,
speaking
one-
as an
one minute.
individual.
I am a
You
citizen
must
of this
understand.
country.
No,
As an individual, you
I
are
am a
speaking.
citizen of this
1
country.
minute,
I am
gentlemen.
You are a
I am
citizen, but you are not representative of the. I can bring you thousands of boys who actually will
Bring no.
oppose you from your own community.
Correct.
But you are
That's the
actually
problem.
politicizing the
That's
issue
the
only
that's the
to-
point. That's the point that we need to understand, Shyam Prasad Mekhaji. That if you are calling those who feel that some groups in our country need hand-holding as sick minds, then what do you call those people who turn around and say you have to hand-hold us? What
No,
kind of
nobody
minds
is
are
saying
those?
that.
No.
Nobody is saying
Nah,
that.
that is
They
where you are
they-
erring in fact, sir.
I think
Because your voice is very welcome.
You are
Shyam
clueless
Prasad,
what the God
Prasad ji,
reality is.
your voice and your opinion is
Why
very
nobody
welcome.
wants
It's a fantastic position that you're taking and I salute that position. But the fact is, sir, today you are amongst the smaller numbers who are making this or stating this. The larger number has come out and told the Uttarakhand draft makers, including a former justice of the retired justice of the Supreme Court, that we need hand-holding and you keep us out.
We don't need.
Sir, you
We
are
are the
saying
mainstream.
you are saying we don't
We
need.
are the mainstream.
You are, sir. That's
We
a
are the
nice belief
mainstream.
to have, but is that actual reality on ground? Because if that's the case, then
On
they should have
ground
said
it
no.
is not. We want to change that reality.
You want to change it is a good aspect, but till that time it changes. That's why the scheduled tribes have said keep us out of it. Keep us out of
No.
it. Okay, we got to move on. We got to move on. Zayed Zafar Islam and Shyam Prasad Mekhaji, thank you very, very much. Quickly moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to the other aspect, which could now become a talking point. 10 years of UPA versus 10 years of NDA, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi laying the bedrock for a white paper on this in the Rajya Sabha in his motion of thanks for the President's address. Listen in.
आज बातें तो बड़ी बड़ी की जा रही है। कांग्रेस के 10 साल का इतिहास देखिए। फ्रेजाइल 5 इकोनॉमी में दुनिया में कहा जाता था, मैं नहीं, दुनिया कहती फ्रेजाइल 5। पॉलिसी पैरालिसिस, ये तो उनकी पहचान बन गई थी। जिस कांग्रेस ने आतंकवाद और अलगाववाद को अपने हित में पनपने दिया, जिस कांग्रेस ने नॉर्थ ईस्ट को हिंसा, अलगाव और पिछड़ेपन में धकेल दिया, जिस कांग्रेस के राज में नक्सलवाद के लिए देश के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती बनाकर के छोड़ दिया, जिस कांग्रेस ने देश की बहुत बड़ी जमीन दुश्मनों के हवाले कर दी, कि आजादी के बाद से ही कंफ्यूज रही, उनको उद्योग जरूरी है कि खेती जरूरी है, उसी कंफ्यूजन में गुजारा किया।
Well, we've just got news coming, ladies and gentlemen. Top government sources telling News18 that the NDA government will actually bring in the white paper on economic mismanagement of the UPA into the Lok Sabha as early as tomorrow. Now, earlier, Parliament was pushed by one more day into Saturday, and there was, somewhere talk that this could all happen between the 9th and 10th of February, where we're given to understand that in the Lok Sabha, the discussion would start as early as the 8th of February, that's tomorrow. What all will the government, What is it likely to do when it brings in this white paper? Our reporters, sources, talking to sources within government and saying this is what they'll do. They'll compare the rule during the UPA and NDA on the economy aspect of it and the various markers, compare infrastructure and development in both these eras, and also show how lives of people have actually changed under 10 years of the Modi Sarkar NDA. Now, the NDA government has actually claimed that 10 glorious years were lost due to the UPA's mismanagement of the economy. This is their allegation. Every sector was compromised during the UPA rule. There was a fall in fiscal earnings during the UPA regime. Subsidies in the oil sector were hiked to about 35,000 crore. Planned expenditure and outlays to states was also reduced. Capex increased under the NDA that was falling under UPA, so NDA under Vajpayee era. So India was really shining and a baton was passed on when India was on a slow gallop, but then it came to a literal halt in the 10 years of the UPA, and now it started running again in the last 10 years. This is the argument. Priyam Gandhi Modi, author, is with us. So what if there was no Congress? That's the book that she has written. Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson of the BJP, with us, and Abbas Haider, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, with us. Priyam Gandhi Modi, this white paper. Namaste, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat to everybody. Thank you very much. Priyam Gandhi Modi, this white paper that's coming in.
Namaste,
how much of it is fact and how much of it is going to be a lot of braggadocio?
So, namaste and good evening to everybody. So, I believe that all of it is going to be fact, and what is important to remember and also to notice is that in both the Prime Minister's speeches, in Rajya Sabha today and in Lok Sabha the day before yesterday, he mentioned Pandit Nehru's mistakes in handling various policies and various aspects of the country. Why now? One must ask this question. And the answer to that question is that Prime Minister Modi is perhaps the only man in the country who is not only deserving but capable, because he is about to break Panditji's record when he gets his third term just in a couple of months. So it is very opportune, it is very timely, and one must take what the Prime Minister is saying, even through the white paper that his government is saying, very, very seriously.
Abbas Haider?
Yeah, so basically what I have seen the Prime Minister's address, it was full of allegation, whataboutery and contradiction. To be honest, see, Prime Minister was supposed to deliver what he has promised to the people of India in 2014, but he has delivered none of his promises. Modi ki guarantee is the biggest lie of the century. He has promised to give Pakka Makan to every citizen by the end of 2022. Was this delivered? What about fuel prices? The average, on an average, there has been decline of 70 to 80% in the crude oil prices, while the fuel prices in India has been increased to around 50-60%. And how it was promised that, we are going to give fuel at 50 rupees or whatever. I mean, and look at the promises the Modi government has made. 2 crore jobs every year. We will give you 15 lakh in every bank account. So there have been so many promises, and now when the government has failed to deliver its promise, it is talking about the past government. I mean, we are sitting in the opposition and we are going to ask you the question, sir, what is your delivery? But you are not ready to tell us about yourself. Instead, you're going to, put allegations on Pandit Nehru or Indira Gandhi or Jawaharlal, whosoever. I mean, does that matter? I mean, we as the people of India, we want our Prime Minister to tell us the truth, to tell us that the foreign debt of India has increased. It is like $629 billion right now. So basically, he needs to address this issue. They talk about GDP, that GDP of India has become number 5, but they'll never talk about per capita GDP, which is on the 120th place. You talk about USA, their per capita GDP is $82,000. You talk about Germany or China or maybe Russia, their GDP is 50,000, 70,000 US dollar. Where is our GDP? $2,300 per person. That is the per capita GDP. And you are talking about promises, but they also did not tell us that in 2011, India's GDP was at number 3 for a short span of time. So I think we don't need disparity in this country. We want resources of country to be divided among every citizen equally. So that should be done. And instead of doing
Ji.
so, the Prime Minister is talking, he's boasting of what he has not delivered and what the previous government may have not delivered.
So only trying to gloss over what this government has not delivered, while for shining the spotlight on what the previous 10 years could not deliver upon. Sahyad Zafar Aslamdi, please respond.
See, why this concept of white paper, Anand, we need to understand. When we inherited the Indian economy in 2014 from UPA, it was in terrible shape. Everyone knows that during UPA 1, economy was doing well, but as we entered in UPA 2, economy started destabilizing the country. Why? There are many reasons. Of course, the people say that because of the economic crisis in 2008, after that, whatever decision has been taken by the government at that point in time was detrimental to the country's growth. It actually resulted in high inflation. Money supply was very high, and the way the loan was distributed based on phone call and based on understanding, based on certain commissions to be paid to 10 Janpath. Eventually, what happened that the balance sheet size of nationalized bank from 1947 to 2006 was merely 18 lakh crore, but from 2006 to 2013, in 6-7 years, it ballooned to 52 lakh crore. So what does it understand? What does it mean? That money was simply given to every person who approached bank through 10 Janpath or through some important offices of UPA minister. As a result, what happened that the loan which was sanctioned during these 6 years, if you compare this, that is what I'm coming to the point. If you analyze it, you'll see that EBITDA, earning before interest, depreciation, taxes, actually was negative. When you have EBITDA negative of any project where you have which you have funded, means project will never take off. Eventually, what happened? This we inherited NPA after 2014 because all the loans were bogus loan, which was section 67% loan were bogus loan. They were not in a position. All those loans were not generating enough cash to service those debts. So we inherited huge NPAs. We had the option to come out with a white paper at that point in time and expose UPA government of their mismanagement of economy. But if we had done that, we would have actually damaged our country's economy forever. So the Honorable Prime Minister took a call at that point in time that it is best to repair the economy, repair the damage, take some important decisions like recapitalizing with the bank, doing some structural reforms, do many policy level decisions were taken, and went through the pain, got criticism, but never addressed, only focused on addressing the problem which we had inherited. Eventually, now bank is in a very, very good shape. The banks were not in a position to lend because the capital adequacy ratio was not there. Today, the capital adequacy ratio is very good. Today, the bank is not only started lending, but they're in a very comfortable position to lend bigger project. The credit evaluation process was put in place, which was not there, and there was no phone banking. So I think it is important for everyone to understand how we inherited or how we have transformed. What the Honorable Prime Minister was saying that it was it was 5 fragile economy. India was part of that. At that point in time, I was a banker, Anand. I used to travel across the world, and everybody used to tell me in 2012-13. So what is happening in India? There is a policy paralysis, which Honorable Prime Minister also referred. Secondly, every meeting I went, whether it's US, whether it's UK or elsewhere, the first question you people used to ask, how is the Indian economy is doing? Why there is a policy paralysis? Why there is a government which is known as a government of scams and scamsters? Because every day a new scam was being discussed in the parliament. So it's a party of fraud and fraudsters. These kind of statements I've heard from people who had invested or who wanted to invest in India. But the Honorable Prime Minister actually focused on repairing the damage done by the UPA government And today we are in a very comfortable position. Not
So,
only
so
the
you are
fifth
saying,
largest
so
economy,
you
but
are
only
saying that it
the
was
other-
situation was so bad that you could not even talk about it openly because that would have made things worse. You have written.
Absolutely.
One minute.
Absolutely.
We'll look at some numbers, but Priyam Gandhi Modi, you've written a book saying, "What if there was no Congress?"
Yeah.
Does that traverse this aspect of economy?
Yes.
The 10 years of the UPA rule, 2004 to 2013-14. And do you agree with what Abbas Haider says? That
Yes, yes.
That the current system is only trying to gloss over and trying to show the spotlight elsewhere to deflect the criticism against it?
Not at all. Anandji, see, like the Prime Minister also said today, taking 25 crore people out of poverty is a very, very big deal.
Multidimensional poverty,
80
yeah.
crore people, providing food grains to 80 crore people. Also, this is coming out of somewhere. All of the policies, see, there is a difference between announcing a policy and actually implementing a policy. Be it building the toilets, be it building houses, be it the Nal Se Jal scheme, be it any major, be it the healthcare schemes that the government is running. All of this not only starts but is also implemented at a very, very wide scale through the country, right? If you look at any credible global organization, they all say that the Indian economy is the bright spot in the global economic situation at this point in time, right? So they're coming from somewhere, it's coming from the numbers. In terms of not just the UPA era, but all of the, past Congress governments, especially Indiraji's government, the inflation at her in the 70s was 34.5%. 34.5%. How can the Congress talk about inflation when their own numbers were this crazy? Right? So it's not just that the Prime Minister or his government is glossing over or just attacking the opposition. They're doing so very rightly because they got the country out of a very, very fragile state. Look at what is happening in Congress run Karnataka. They overpromised. They won the elections based on overpromises. Are they able to sustain those? They are not, because they don't know how to manage the economy. That's exactly how their governments have been run.
Some numbers, Abbas Ali Haider, before I come across to you for a counter to the BJP. Net direct tax collections have increased 160.52% from 6,38,596 crore in financial year 2013-2014 to 16,63,686 crore in financial year 2022-23. Now, this is one aspect. Provisional direct tax, mainly including income tax and corporate tax. Indian banks' bad debts or NPAs dropping to 3.2% in the first half of 23-24. It's the lowest since 2013, sir. Here are the numbers. March 2017 it was 9.6%, March 2019 9.3%, March 2021 7.4%, March 2023 3.9%, and September 2023 it is 3.2%. And this is the RBI's financial stability report saying much of the bad debt that had originated was between 2006 and 2008. So what was ramped up and the economy was left bare. Now there are also other documents where during the interim budget in 2013-2014, a lot of the expenditure that was supposed to accrue was pushed to the next budget. Oil companies were not given their due, nearly 35,000 crore of it, if my memory serves me right. We had the defense minister of the country come out and say, I don't have money to buy airplanes. And that's still on record. Yes, Abbas.
Anand, basically, see, I'm not here to defend the policies of UP or to justify them, but here the problem is, see,
because you were part of that. You were part of that scheme of things. Your own former, the late Mulayam Singh Yadav ji was once the defense minister of this country too. Ji.
No, but there was not Congress government that time, if you remember. We were never part of UP or any Congress government, one thing. Second thing, Anandji, let me tell you that the inflation in this country was at its peak during the second term of UPA. But when inflation was at its peak, it was supposed to come down. But was there deflation at any point of time in this country? In fact, the inflation has always increased by 6% maybe. If you call it 6% is maybe nominal for you. And if you talk about wholesale price inflation, it has reached to in double digit. It has mostly remained in double digit. So basically, for example, if you're buying something for 10 rupees and the price increased to 20, then it is supposed to come down to 18 or maybe 17, 16. But it has always increased by 5%, 6%, 7%, or even 8, 9%. So this is what has happened in the Modi government. Second thing, see, all the PSUs and the strategic assets of the country have been sold to certain people. We accuse government of doing so, and by this they have led our country. They have basically tried to finish competition in the country. They have led to a monopoly structure in this country, which will certainly never lead any benefit to the country or the common man. Third thing, see, the oil revenue from the oil has been at the peak in the Modi government. But has the common man, has the person who has been at the bottom line got benefited out of it?
Abaji, I'm interrupting you, but here is some fact here. Interim budget of February 2014, and
let me respond to
this is P. Chidambaram ji. Payments to oil and fertilizer companies to the tune of 35,000 crore were pushed to the next year to artificially reduce the deficit. This played havoc with the cash flow of these companies, clearly impacting growth. So what was supposed to be paid by the previous governments was then subsequently paid and made good by the subsequent governments in the subsequent years. Abbas Ali Haider. So that's one aspect. Reduce the planned expenditure by 80,000 crore once again to manage deficit, and that means all kind of productive investment was put on hold. That was killed. Entire payments to infra and other companies was brought to a halt. Only 8,000 crore was spent in Jan-March 2014 as against the usual 85,000 crore rupees. So imagine only 10% of what was actually committed and what was budgeted was actually spent, just so that you could reduce the budget deficit and try and gloss over and window dress it. That's the biggest allegation against the UPA at that point in time. That was how bare our coffers were. Zafar Islam wants to add something more. Yes.
I think, Anand, in 2013-14, just see all the macroeconomic parameters. Everything will look terrible. You look at inflation number, you look at deficit, fiscal deficit number, you look at any other parameters, it is all in bad shape. So if anybody wants to defend the economy in 2013-14, I think he doesn't understand the economy well, or he just wants to make a statement to safeguard his own interests in the party. Everyone knows that the economy was in bad shape, and that's why we had focused, the Honorable Prime Minister had focused, and today the economy is in very good shape. Now he's talking about the revenue from oil.
Yeah.
I think you also have to understand that all the slogans which was given by Congress party, like Ghar Ghar Tak Pani Pahunchayenge or the Ghar Ghar Tak Bijli Pahunchayenge, nothing had happened. The Indira Awas Yojana was actually the failed project. Today, under Prime Minister Awas Yojana, we are providing house to people who don't have shelter. They are getting home.
And the target has been increased by another 2 crore homes.
People have been given home there. And another 2 crore for rural sector, that will also boost the rural economy. Then you have people, the women, they are getting stove, they are getting gas connection. The people who are living in villages, they are getting electricity connection. People are getting focused approach to provide tap water to every citizen, every household. So I think the focus of the Prime Minister is that every household must have the basic amenities which every individual needs. That was never the focus of any government in the past. It is only this government is making this kind of effort, and I think you must understand, despite inheriting the economy in such a terrible shape, today economy is in very good shape. As the author was talking about, that it is the bright spot, but every investor globally, today, every investor globally is waiting, was earlier waiting for the 2024 outcome. But now I went for a CLSA conference recently, and there people started speaking a very different tone. They said, no, it is like that government will come back, and their comfort and confidence in this government and the leadership is exponentially high compared to what they had
I'm trying to
maybe
say is
in the
that it
first
has
term.
taken nine
So
and
that
a half
only
years.
shows-
It has taken 9.5 years, and still that confidence is still not fully manifest in Bharat. Is it going to be in the next 4-5 years to come? We'll have to wait and watch. Zafar Islamji. Yes,
Yeah,
Priyam Gandhi Modi,
so-
I have to wind up. Yes, Priyamji. 30 seconds. Ji.
Yes, yes. So, yes, thanks Anandji. So, Anandji, the reason why the BJP under Prime Minister Modi keeps, winning and winning and winning is also because look at how the intellectuals, look at it. Like there is Nalin Mehta who has studied these elections in detail, and he has realized that it's the, it's how the schemes reach the ground. It is how widely spread the schemes are, the implementation of the schemes that really is, what is adding value to the BJP and adding voters to the BJP at this point.
So the Labharti, it
So
is
it's
actually,
not
it is
just
manifest
all
on ground.
It's
It's not just
actually, yes,
talk.
the Labharti.
100 रुपए में से
yes.
100 रुपए पे से
Yes.
10 पैसा नहीं, पूरा 100 रुपया पहुंच रहा है. That's the claim that the BJP makes, but there are others.
Yes.
Nalin Mehta is also managing editor Money Control, and he's written a thorough book on this after researching it, and that says that that
Yes.
is manifest on ground. Just quickly, as we say, thank you. Numbers that you can
Yes.
take back with you. Multi-dimensional poor, percentage of the Indian population who are multi-dimensional poor. Our research team has culled this number out as released by the Niti Aayog. 2005-2006, it was 55.34% in our country. 2013-14, it was 29.17% in our country. 2015-2016, it was 24.85%. 2019-2021, it was 14.96%. And 2022-23, it was 11.28%. This debate will continue because the white paper conversation will happen in Parliament on Thursday. But for the moment, have to wind up on that note. Thank you to all our panelists. We're taking a very, very short break. When we come back, an excerpt of the Prime Minister's address in the Rajya Sabha here on The Right Stand. Stay with us.
As guardian,
New customers. Number 2, allowing deposits or top-ups in existing accounts. And number 3, onboarding any merchants or new payment instruments such as FASTags, etc. Now, this unexpected move obviously sent shockwaves all across. Left you and me wondering, what does this mean for my Paytm wallet? The future of the bank itself was under question. Now, Paytm shares on that day fell 40% in 2 trading sessions. The founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, gave out a statement quite quickly then saying that there is no need to worry, that the money is safe, and while new deposits are restricted, withdrawals, your money already in their wallets, will continue to happen. But what exactly happened? Why did RBI take such a drastic action? So what Money Control has been learning, and here on Network 18 what we've been reporting, is that RBI says that it followed a comprehensive audit that revealed what it called was persistent non-compliance and continued material supervisory concerns. What does this mean? आपको आसान भाषा में बताते हैं इसके बारे में. This basically means that one of the things that popped up during the RBI audit is that RBI found hundreds of Paytm accounts created without proper identification. These accounts created without, say, what we call, you and I now know very commonly as KYC, details of those transactions worth crores on the platform. That also meant that over 1,000 users were found to be linked with the same PAN number. Again, as per sources, this is unusually high number for any sort of dormant account, and a lot of these dormant accounts were also found. What does this basically tell you? That all in all, it looked like that there are concerns of money laundering. Now, these are serious charges, remember, and VSS, as the founder is popularly known as of Paytm, came out with a statement after that to his employees saying that they don't need to worry, nothing has gone wrong, and they're still sort of figuring out a solution on what to take of the RBI diktat, and that the money was safe. Money Control also learned that the annual report of Paytm actually showed that the board was confident that RBI would validate or at max give them, say, corrective measures. Nobody saw this coming. What's happened in the last 2 days? Let's tell you that. Now, Paytm share price has got some relief. It's rebound about 17% from the day's low. And also the group also some support came in. So a couple of Indian startup founders have now written to the Prime Minister, to the Finance Minister, even to the RBI, urging them to roll back on sanctions on Paytm. Now this letter has been signed by some 12 founders, and they claim that such harsh action, according to them, against Paytm can be detrimental and have consequences over the overall fintech ecosystem. This letter has been signed by startups like Bharat Matrimony, there is Deepak Shenoy of Capital Mind, there are several other fintechs, PB Fintech, Make My Trip as well. And also, so some sort of support came in from the startup community. Also, we are now learning that VSS yesterday had an audience with the Finance Minister himself. He met Nirmala Sitharaman.
जिस कांग्रेस ने सत्ता के लालच में सरेआम लोकतंत्र का गला घोंट दिया था, जिस कांग्रेस ने दर्जनों बार लोकतांत्रिक तरीके से चुन करके आई सरकारों को रातों रात भंग कर दी थी, बर्खास्त कर दिया, जिस कांग्रेस ने देश की संविधान लोकतंत्र की मर्यादा को जेल के सलाखों के पीछे बंद कर दिया था, जिस कांग्रेस ने अखबारों पर ताले लगाने तक की कोशिश की, आवाज, जो कांग्रेस देश को तोड़ने के नैरेटिव घटना का नया शौक उनको पैदा हुआ, इतना तोड़ा कम नहीं है, अब उत्तर दक्षिण को तोड़ने के लिए बयान दिए जा रहे हैं। और ये कांग्रेस हमें लोकतंत्र और फेडरलिज्म उस पर प्रवचन दे रही है।
And what we are told that the meeting lasted only 10 minutes. And the Finance Minister, again, this is through sources that Money Control is learning, might have asked him to take his request back to RBI. So what does this mean really? And while this entire fiasco is unfolding, most importantly, what concerns you and I is what's happening to our money and how safe is it on Paytm? Not just that, this entire episode has raised questions on the overall fintech ecosystem as well. So we thought, let's break it down, and as promised, we'll take all your questions. Now, for all those questions, the man who everybody will be waiting out for, Rohit Jain, joins us now. He's an advocate. Rohit, you've been looking at this entire fiasco quite closely. There are lots of concerns. Let me straight away go to some of the questions that have come to us. And these are, like I said, these are DMs that came to us through the course, through the night, yesterday and today. There is this particular, let me just dive in straight, Sanjeet Gaur, who says, how about Paytm postpaid? And will that work, considering now there is a sort of freeze on the other things?
Sure. So, I think first of all, it needs to be clarified that Paytm as an app and Paytm Bank as an entity are two different things. So, look at it that, there is a host of services that Paytm is providing, and some of it is linked to Paytm Bank. So, had Paytm, say, not have the Paytm license, it can collaborate with other banks and continue to provide those services. For example, say PhonePe. So, PhonePe does not have a bank of its own, but PhonePe is providing you UPI services, PhonePe is providing you an app to transfer your money, etc. So, if Paytm Bank goes out of the picture, Paytm can still very well collaborate with other banks that are available and continue providing those services. And that is exactly what Paytm has clarified, that what Ideally, in an ideal world, they would have continued providing services through their own bank. It would have reduced cost for them. It would have made commercial sense. Now, since that is not there, they will have to scout for partnership.
Good evening. The centre versus southern states political battle over funding today reached the corridors of power in Delhi. The Congress government in Karnataka, led by Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, protested outside Jantar Mantar, saying that the due share of the state from central government direct and